to the God Guys podcast. Today, we're diving into James 4:4 through 6. This passage speaks to us about the dangers of being overly attached to worldly desires and the importance of remaining faithful to God. The verses say, "Don't you realize that friendship with the world makes you an enemy of God? I say it again. If you want to be a friend of the world, you make yourself an enemy of God." Do you think the scriptures have no meaning? They say that God is passionate, that the Spirit He has placed within us should be faithful to Him, and He gives grace generously. As the scriptures say, God opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble. In these verses, James is warning us against the dangers of becoming too attached to worldly pursuits, things that distract us from our devotion to God. This is a strong call for us to examine our hearts and question where our loyalties lie. Are we seeking friendship with the world, or are we seeking a relationship with God? The passage also tells us about God's passionate desire for our faithfulness. It underscores that our spirit should be fully committed to Him. This is not a call for half-hearted devotion, but a plea for our complete and total allegiance. But the most beautiful part of these verses is the reminder of God's generous grace. Despite our failings and our tendency to get distracted by worldly pursuits, God's grace is abundant. He is always ready to extend forgiveness and mercy to those who turn back to Him. So, how do we apply this? We need to constantly evaluate our actions, our thoughts, and our priorities. Are they aligned with God's will, or are they more in tune with worldly desires? And when we find ourselves straying, we must remember that God's grace is readily available to us. We just need to turn back to Him. Let's make it a point this week to examine our hearts and realign our loyalties if necessary. Let's choose to be friends of God, not of the world. Thank you for joining us today on the God Guys podcast. If you found value in today's message, we'd love it if you could share it with a friend or a loved one. And remember, if you haven't joined the God Guys community yet, you can do so by visiting our website at godguys.org. Stay blessed and stay faithful.